Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Here, we'll do a little camera time. Welcome in. I'm coming in a couple minutes early. We'll get a little bit settled. Hey, 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 welcome in. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to turn on Do Not Disturb. I don't need you guys to see my messages today. Yeah, so we'll be fixing some stuff today. Should be an interesting time. Can we see me today? You guys remember last week it was a little dark? My light's working. My Wi-Fi had to be reset and the network changed, and so I had to change all my devices. It's always a pain. But here we are. So feel free to say hi in chat. Always like to see who's here, who's hanging out. Feel free to ask questions, but it should be a fun day. Let's see. All right, we're gonna center me here today. What's going on, Andres? We are doing some sesh work today. So I think I'll just get started. The thing I want to focus on is JSON. Why is this Seshmate? Please and thank you. Yeah, we're going to work on Sesh JSON. So I did some starting of this already. I have a JSON package. I have the ability to list. And basically, we want to overwrite the list command here. And we want to encode the sessions. So from what I remember, the raycast sesh extension is expecting this format. So we're going to take this format and let's bring that up. What do you think? Ooh, now you can see. This might not take long, hopefully, but I want to take what the sessions are now and echo them out with the JSON encoding. If I do this now, what does it actually do? Oh, that was a little bit of time. So sesh dev list JSON. Maybe we'll do like just -t. And so right now it's going to give us this parsing error. But it's an array. Is it an array? So we have this directory object. Source. Right. So we can, what is it, JYQ? JQ? There we go. I want to take what's in directory and I want to output it. So these values are going to be outputted as an array. So it's just one of those things now where I could just say, so in Golang, we're done. All right, so we've got our data. We're doing a map on this result. I don't have to do all that. I could do it at a higher level, right? Right. Can you hear me okay? I'm thinking, yeah, you guys should be able to hear me okay. I can turn it up a little. So instead of encoding this, we need to some sort of for loop. We're printing. We're not printing them individually. We're going to add them to too many S's. So we have our sessions array, and then we're going to take the ordered index, which will be right, and then we're going to imprint sessions array. Ha! All right, so then it goes, no, don't do that. Is model not in here? It should be. Cannot use session array. Right, encode sessions. Let's get this right. Cannot use session array. Right. Sessions takes model.sesh sessions. That is what it's taking. All right, so we're close. I think once I do this, it should just work. And maybe I can overwrite the Raycast extension to just use my sesh dev, and I can make sure that it's working. Weird. So I have to ensure that it exists before I call it. So everything about this is fine, except the argument. So this is a model session. Is it like a pointer that needs to be used? Can I use the asterisk? and then like the and sign. Yeah, so that is right. Cannot use such an array value of this as we're so close. Why isn't this working? Andres, any ideas? I think it's fine that we do a pointer. It should be fine. Marshall should be fine encoding this. It's not sure about the pointer array. Yeah. All I want to do is pass this in. Hmm. I'm very close. We're encoding the session. Hmm. Ensure that the types are correctly used. Modify the session. Ensure JSON package is imported. Variable of type. That's the part that throws me off. It's a variable of a type. However, error message indicates that JSON expected a slice of that, but is receiving a slice of that. These are the same thing, aren't they? Model dot. Oh, there's a plural thing. There's something plural. I'm so dumb. God. It's freaking plural. It's one session that's an array. Wow. Okay, we're just going to pretend that that didn't happen, chat. It's fine. Yeah, this looks good. So that's all we got to do. I guess I'll test this now. So the raycast. Let's hide that. I can just do pm dev. Cool. All right. So for this to work, we need the environment and we need the path to point to sesh dev. So put that in the clipboard and we'll put that there. And then the actual sesh command will now be sesh dev. If this works, all I got to do is swap it out. So that's good. And we're getting an error. So let's just do this. Oof, that's a lot. That's a lot of slices. That isn't even reasonable to read. T. It is an array. Is it still in that format? Let's go back to raycast. Oh, let's try that again. All right. Boom. Tmux isn't running. So we need to keep some of that path. All right. So it's kind of a fixed thing, but we're going to just kind of, it's okay. Couldn't get sessions. Gonna get sessions. All right. Because it fails, because getting the sessions, console error. Let's try it again. So when we call that, if I can't list, I immediately get standard error. All right, so then this is, that's what's going wrong. Sesh dev command not found. Do I need to drop? I probably need to drop the path at the end of the path on env. Yeah. So we need the bin. Hey, it's back. I'll take it. What did I move confetti to? Sweet. So that's it. Again, this is one of those things that was kind of already done. So I did a lot of the work already. We just had to kind of get it to its final steps here. So JSON is a new dependency in the list command, and then the list command will return early, so we don't need to worry about that. All we're saying is if JSON flag was used, then we're going to do this little appending into an array and using the array, and then mockery. We'll make sure that it's built. Make tests. We'll make sure that it passes its unit tests. And I guess that's it. So that's step one. That's fun. So I'll get a pull request up and going, and we'll move on to the next thing. I got more to do today. Okay, sweet. No exit codes. Love that. Love that for me. Feature add JSON flag, and we'll just push this boy as JSON. Closes list JSON. Wait, hold on. 72. Did we not do 72 yet? We got raycast exception. So we're gonna closes fixes this. All right. So this will run in the background, and if it passes, we'll just merge it, and hopefully Sesh will start working again on raycast. So I unfortunately broke it because I forgot to add this feature in. It's one of those things that as soon as it happened, we were able to fix it. And if this works and passes, then I should also be able to go to raycast. I got some exceptions here. Let's go to raycast. Yeah, so we'll make sure that these are. This is interesting. They actually automatically created an issue. Did they create it? I created it. Waiting for V2. All right, cool. So the next one should also be really simple. We're going to do hide attached. So this was another one that just wasn't being used much by me, and so we want to make sure that it is available. So on the list command, we have this hide attached, and what we want to do is we want to say that like when we're looking at this ordered thing, we want to basically just check for what the attached item is, and if we see it, then we want to make sure it's not shown. So how do we actually list? List or list. So this list command is where we want to do it. What's up, Dr. K? Dr. K's here, everybody. You're here. You're watching me code. Look at this. So I'm just coding. I'm coding Sesh. We're here doing some Go project today. I'm trying to fill in the gaps from the version 2 release. So there's been a couple things people miss and like using, and so I want to make sure that that is there. And if we have time, I might play with another new feature idea. We've got something to look forward to. We've got Tmuxinator support, which is pretty cool. So someone else already wrote the code for this, and so we could play around with it and see how we like it and if it works. And then we also have some symbolic linking stuff that has been written. So Gleb has done some work in and even wrote tests to get symbolic links working. Because right now the auto naming feature is a little funky. So if you try to use a symbolic link in your Zoxide results, it'll kind of output this funky like session name, and it's not really a very it's not happy state. It's definitely a weird edge case that we don't like. So those things might fix it. We can look over the code today, maybe. That could be fun. Yeah, it's great getting other contributors. I love it. I'm grateful that other people are getting a sense of how the new code base works. So far, people are adopting to it pretty well, and they get a sense of where things go and all of that. So that's been satisfying. All right, so I think I do need to do a sanity check. So like, sweet. Cool. All right. So now we'll rebase and merge. Delete. This guy's working. Let's see. What if we actually go to one of these? Oh yeah, sweet. So that's my update one. I like that command. What else we got? We got new main, not new main, sesh main list. Oh, is it not going to be here? Sesh CLI. Boom. Cool. And then can I switch to, yep, I sure can. Yeah, it is a cool feature. Raycast is really fun, but I don't honestly reach for it much. I just go to the app usually, and I just pull up the pop-up if I'm switching. So that's good news. Fix with this. Boom. All right. Is this a raycast thing? Yeah. Boom. We'll call these done. That feels good. That feels good. Is this one also closed? Yes. All right, cool. It was mentioned recently. Right, this was closed. So supporting height attached. Right. So we'll just make this work again. This should be fairly trivial. You haven't used Raycast with Sesh either? Yeah, I know. It's cool. Like I'm glad I have it, but I don't really I'm in the terminal so much that it's less important to me. All right, so let's do the list. So basically we make our list, we have our sessions through our strategies. It's going to be hiding the attached. So it'll just be the TMUX strategy, right? So when there is a TMUX strategy attached, we're basically going to take any potential config records. Oh, no. We're just going to match the one that is currently TMUX. So if the current one is attached, then we don't want to show it. The only thing that is a problem here is I think we have options hide attached. The option shows up here. I want to put it in the strategy, but right now the strategy doesn't take the options. So I need to change it so that it does. Right? So right now the strategies map this. So instead of calling this L, I need to add like options, right? Technically, it's going to be best for everybody if the options are available on all strategies. So this will be a little bit of a refactor. Should be for the best. There will be future options where you can be like, hey, if my configuration, is of this path, I want all of those Zoxide results to not show. Like I want to hide Zoxide results that match custom configurations. So things like that will come in the future. So that will be a level of trying to optimize this and try to figure out how to best pass things along. But thankfully today, I don't have to go that far. I just need to pass options into source strats. So ops. So list options is in this package. So source strat, real lister, ops. Dr. K, good question. Now that I've released Sesh V2, how are you enjoying writing in Golang? So far, Golang is really simple. Conceptually, it's been easy to adopt as a primarily a TypeScript user. So since I've been using TypeScript for most of my career, and I played around with Python, and I've played around with like maybe a little bit of PHP, and what else? Those are the primary ones. I'm sure I've touched other ones briefly, but those are in JavaScript, of course. And so I think Go is very simple and straightforward, and so it's been really great in those cases. Excuse me, in those cases. And it's done everything I need to do. It's been a very simple project. My condolences to PHP, huh? Laracon just happened, and it's still a thriving community. People love PHP. I know us devs that don't do PHP like to make fun of PHP, but it's super popular language. And it has way more types in the recent updates. And I say recent as in the last few years. So they have better type safety, and Laravel is a pretty refreshing framework, but I tend to just reach for TypeScript when I'm doing full stack stuff. So like Express.js is a popular choice for me. And yeah, so interesting. All right, so I'm a little bit thrown off here. Add Can I just pass it here as a second argument? List options. I don't think I can do it that way. So this is one of those dependency injection kinds of things where maybe the lister needs an option. I had done that in the past. I guess this is technically just a strut, right? And where do we end up using it? We end up calling it here. So perhaps we will reference it here. All right, so Sesh CLI. It's currently being passed like this. I do have to do something interesting because here lister is something I inject as a dependency. So it technically is an argument because it's only called on the Sesh CLI, and the Sesh CLI kind of scaffolds the options. All right, so if that's the case, yeah. How do I ensure my it's saying to pass list options. I still don't think that's going to work because, oh, hold on. I guess I can go in to all of the, yeah, I'm dumb. We're just going to go and do it. So this list options. So that's that. Config. That's that. That's that. And what is it going to complain about? List options is an invalid type. Like this, list options, list options, list options, right? Does it build? Not enough arguments to call list config. Oh, I gotta actually call it, right? So down here in our strategy, yeah, we call options here. My sources and my strategies. Huh. Let's see. Not enough arguments called on list config. List config. Yeah, look. Look, it's right here. Do I need like a pointer? So it doesn't complain here. Does this need to be like that? I don't think it matters. So these are my strats. And then my I'm always bad at this. It's 6, 7. Oh boy. All right. I think it's still gonna complain. Lister. Oh, mockery? No, tmux. Lister tmux, not enough arguments. Pointer's fine. This isn't going to mutate or anything. So here, source. It doesn't complain. List options. Why does it say that? Config line 39? This is 39. Why? It's a strategy, right? One of these is the actual strategy itself. So this find needs to be changed. If you don't need to mutate, you don't use the pointers. So pointers for you are best used for mutations in that, like, in my understanding, then you would use pointers to say, hey, go and edit the original thing so that you don't have to go and change it. Interesting. It doesn't really matter. All that matters right now is, is that I fix this. So, let me know why you do that, because I'm curious. Is it like more performant, or is it a little bit easier to manage what's what, I guess? Or if there is a performance gain, it's just these few items. It's a very simple strut. But if there is a performance gain, it's probably worth realizing my limitations on this language. So we're listing config with the options. When we find a config session, config strategy. Where did this come from? You haven't tested for performance? Okay. I just imagine if you're using a pointer, it's less memory. So that's my first thought, but I don't know if like pointer lookups are, if there's a trade-off there. I think I'm going to sit down. I'm standing right now. Give me a moment. I've got a little bar stool I like to use when I'm on calls and stuff. It improves my posture. And then I have like a TikTok, one of those wide office chairs that you can like crisscross in from the TikTok shop. And so that's been really fun. That's where I spend most of my time. But I'm sort of a little bit more slumped in. All right, so let's just get this right. Let me make sure I fully understand this. The strategies are coming from the lister. So the lister has a list config strategy, and I'll always be passing, in this case, I'll be passing the options. So then here, when I want to find one, L comes from here, and ops comes from list options. And so we need O. This is going to complain. Right. So this is what is throwing me off about this whole dependency injection stuff. Just a new layer. I want to be able to pass this forward. And so how would I do that? Because it's going to be more work and more problematic potentially to go into the ordered index and pop or remove that item. And I guess that's all I need to do. So maybe that's less of a big deal. Perhaps that's what we'll do. Because this is starting to get complicated. And look at all we had to do. We had to move all this stuff around. So we're going to say options aren't that way. And we'll just start fresh on my list. Right, we're doing list. And on list, I think we'll just start here. Because I think we're going to be able to see which one's attached. And on the full ordered index, we're doing a range through the ordered index. And I could just to do if hide attached, skip attached sessions. Fine. Dependency injection has plenty of trade-offs, and at this point, this feels fairly simple because the options are here. We're not having to pass them around as much. It was starting to feel a little bit complicated. So if ops hide attached and attached, then wait, hold on. If I want to break, continue, invalid operation, boolean int. Wait, hold on. This should be a bool. And if attached equals 0, I don't even remember what it is, to be honest. Look at that. That was like a few seconds worth of my time versus what we were trying to do for the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever. It's funny how it works like that, right? Make build, mockery. I think that's it. So now, sesh dev list help. And if we do -t, we get that. And if we do -h, we get only one result. Oh, but I need to ensure that I don't. This renders a blank line. All right, so interesting. So we're assigning the directory item. So it will always be the case that when we loop through the full directory, so I actually have to remove the item. Crap. We can't just continue. We have to to do remove the item from the full ordered index. So it's one of those things that's like full ordered index. That feels super nasty. I don't think that's even right. Andres, is this even something that's common to do? Because I want to remove the item from the full ordered index. We could create a new ordered index. Create a slice with the same underlying array, but length 0. Oh, filtered index. And then you'd append. This is a performance. This is definitely going to be a performance issue, but it is what it is, right? So we're saying the filtered index now has the things. Now is the full directory. Yeah. Yeah. And then do you do the mutation? Filtered index. Undefined. Got it. Got it. All right. So we do need to do what it was saying here. We need to, outside the for loop, we'd have to reassign. All right. T main hide, nothing happened. So let's try that again. Hey, cool. So there's main, and then there's the item not being there. So what we're doing is feature adding cool. I could test this, but it's really just is the assigned or is the active, what did we call it? Active attached. If the attached flag, I'm dumb. Attached. If the attached flag is set, via when tmux interprets it, it removes it. So that's fine. That's good. Make it work. Oh, look at that. Holy smokes, that was fast. So I'm feeling good about that. Feeling spicy. I feel like I'm just merging. We're just merging stuff. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. We're just gonna merge stuff. My Friday morning might be interesting. You guys might go, "Oh my gosh, Josh, you didn't think about this." I'll go, "Oh man," but I think we're off to a good start. Okay. So those were the two things I really wanted to do today, and they're done. What can spend a little time on issues? No, on issues, on pull requests. I think the symbolic link thing will be a lot easier to start with. So we'll just do that. We do a little git fetch and we'll delete these. Let's delete that, guys. All right, so we'll do a little GHPR checkout 150. Cool. So that pulls in his. It should build all right. We'll take a little bit of, actually, let's do this. Here's my review. Let's open it up in GitHub. So this is a tool called Octo. Before that, this is a tool called GitHub Dash. And Dolev is a good friend of mine. Dolev made this project, so very cool. And then I have it bound to capital O. So what is it? Dot files. Dash. Nope. Dash. One of these. Config. So open one of these. That might be the wrong word. Here we go. So when I hit capital O, it creates a new window on Tmux using the repo path, and it calls invim a C for command, silently runs octopr edit, and then the PR number. So it just it just works. I love it. So again, Shift O, boom, it's open in Octo. So he likes symbolic links. Great. Lots of people do. I ultimately decided to tell people in the past. I think Tom is a pretty active member in the issues, and he's someone that follows my work, and he was having the same issue. And I told him, hey, like for his oxide results, don't point to the symbolic links. Do point to the original path. And that was my recommendation. Realistically, though, many of us would prefer to use the symbolic links. That's the point of the feature. So he's made some effort here. I like to use Octo to do reviews as well. So I can say I want to start a review, and it'll pull up all the files. So he's doing a new, this path wrap tool. He can evaluate symlinks. So again, good dependency injection, file path dot eval symlinks. And all that does is, has he called it? Or is file path? Oh, file path, I think is, yeah, something that's built in. So again, it's just sort of already there. So we're putting it in the path wrap package. Great, perfect. Mockery will generate the correct mocks for it. Great. In fact, if I do this, ooh, it's going to complain. Interesting. All right, so I need to double check all that before we move forward. And then he did some testing. Name for symlink file, which we could name or test. Name or test. We could just kind of run this, and we'll see. We're going to hide all that. So if you eval this symlink to a different place, then you get the symlink goes to the evaluated path, which is good to know. And we'll just run it. So make build. So now sesh dev is working. So we can do sesh dev connect. I want like, what do I want? I want .config / neovim, right? And so that should point to dot files. It worked. Holy smoked, it worked. That's it. Like, that's the feature. And so that's the idea. I guess I could also check. Let's close all this. We don't need this to muddy up what's going on. All right, so cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the feature. It's really simple PR, so I'm glad to have taken the time here today to look through it. The namer, I kind of want, I guess this is right. I don't know if I love the reassignment. So, but it is a reassignment. That's just the way it is. Um, I kind of wanted to see what this looks like. So path gets passed in. We immediately evaluate a symlink when we're looking for name detection. And then we use that. I can get behind that. But the question I have is if I do something like this, it is already the full path. This is coming from name. So in our strategies, we're using this. So it's going to come back up anyways, right? I just want to make sure we're not like calling this more than we need to. So this is the connector, and we're currently in the namer. So the namer is going to name based off of the path. And then with Zoxide, we do the same thing. We get the full path. Interesting, absolute path versus full path. And then Zoxide to Tmux name. The Zoxide strategy also does it. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think this is fine. So we'll do a quick test. Sesh dev connect. What do I want to do? I want to do dot files. Cool. And then we'll do like Sesh v1. Cool. All right. This is fairly trivial. I don't know why it took me so long to get to this. It was just a little while that he did this. Oh, but Mockery failed. Is it because I need to install something new? No. Maybe it was a mislead. Maybe that was just a bug earlier that I can ignore. But I guess as long as everything passes as well. Approve and run. Let's approve and run it. And if it runs successfully, then I'm good to merge this. But I guess let's let it pass before we give it an approval. What does his commits look like? Yeah, so we'll merge all this probably as a single commit. Cool. So what's up with you guys? Anyone have any more questions? How's your NeoVim life going? Should we try to run the DAP protocol on some of our Sesh code today? I haven't yet done that. Okay. They should be quick. Yeah, that's totally it. All right, so we're going to do a squash. And we're going to squash. And we're going to... We're going to call this a feature. Evaluate symlinks. Evaluate symlinks. It's only when we're connecting, I believe. Yeah. We're going to call this a feature, not a bug. That's what I've decided. All right, so if we're making a running list here, we can make a running list. It hasn't been very much. I can keep this all in my head, right? Right, chat? We can totally do that. Sweet. What are we at? We're not even an hour in and we've shipped 3 features. How about that? I do want to thanks. It works great. Yeah, it does. And I guess we'll just give it a quick no, not in code space. It's one of those things that once you merge it, the review is sort of unnecessary. All right, Tmuxinator. This one is not necessarily going to be as straightforward. So he has his tmux list -t and then list connect. But the way he's called it is when you connect, you have to connect with -t. So it becomes one of those things that like you need to add your own separate binding or something to it, because the code itself, I don't even really need to go into Octo for this. I'm going to go a little bit smaller so we can see better. How far can we go? Here we go. So if the connection session tmuxinator, this is on connect. Okay, so why would we do it here? If connection found, then tmuxinator create session. Got it. Because I'm also doing new session. Okay, so it's like an early exit kind of thing. But we should be able to call this a source, can't we? But instead of a new session for tmux, you're going to do a create session with tmuxinator. So this is where it kind of goes against the pattern. I probably want to better merge it with the existing code. However, we currently have this tmux.new session, and if this was to be more cohesive and add less conditionals, it would just be what? It would be sesh dot new session, create session, something like that. But we'll have to see the structure of his strut. So new dependency called tmuxinator gets passed in. Very good. Our configuration on lister, we have this new tmuxinator flag. Why did he move this? I don't think it matters. I should be able to assign the type, the source type. Yep, tmuxinator. So this becomes a new flag and it's specific to this tooling. Yeah, that's where it gets a little funky for me. I don't know if I love it. I have to think about it, but on its own, I don't think it's a big deal. When I want to add lots of other tooling, the source should already be tmuxinator. So it's what? It's a named config? Yeah. The thing I have to realize here is, when is it worth doing all this logic versus can you just use the tmuxinator CLI on your own? Like, when does this become valuable to add additionally? We'll look over his pull request description, I guess, to ensure this. All right, so then the config strategy, if it exists and the tmuxinator value is returned, it's not a config. It would be its own, in my opinion. It wouldn't be a config strategy. It would be a tmuxinator strategy. That's what I expected. So that's what's throwing me off here. Because you should be able to just say, like, hey, list me my tmuxinator's, values for me, please. And he is doing that by manually filtering it somehow. Right up here, didn't he filter it on the list? No, this is on the connect. Oh, he find config sessions. Why is that the case? Find config sessions, list config. Is it in list config that he changes it? I guess that's what's throwing me off. Maybe we'll check this PR out and look at it closer. Technically, this would be start session, right? Not create session. I always want the functions to parrot. But let's just find out if this is even worth doing. Because tmuxinator is a cool project. So I'm not opposed to this idea. So, longtime user of TScript, switched over to Sesh about a week ago. Been loving it. Recently discovered tmuxinator as well. Was looking for a way to make them work together. So he's mucking around with FZF bindings, right? Boom. Wasn't quite able to get the behavior I wanted, so I decided to try my hand at messing around in Go and maybe doing some open source. Cool. Love that. Ended up adding list and connect support to tmuxinator configs using the T flag. Solution isn't perfect because there's no safeguards currently for if the tmuxinator is not installed. And my changes also cause some of the tests to fail. Right. But I'll try to add tests and fix up the failing ones if needed. Right. Anyway, I've added some basic instructions on how to use the commands. Let me know what you think. Sweet. So it's one of those things that, like, we know what the connection type is. We already know if I do sesh connect and then the name of your config. If we put tmuxinator above, it won't really matter. The only thing that'll be a problem is if it conflicts. Like, let's say you name something in your tmuxinator and it's the same as something that's in the config. That's kind of up to you as a developer. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it is something to call out. So let's tmuxinator. It's a popular project, much more popular than mine. He's been working on it 2 months ago, which is cool. Yeah, and you can start a session and it scaffolds up your project and it gets things going. So do I already have it installed? Yep, it's already there. We already have the latest version. I run brew update quite a bit, so it's already there. Completion, cool. Ooh, fish completion, yes. Cool. So I don't have any projects. So create or edit local projects where it's stored there instead of the default project. So it's one of those things that if we really wanted full support, we could say, when you open a project and I have decided I'm a tmuxinator user, you could look for a .tmuxinator.yaml, and if you find it, then you're going to start the project that way. You're not going to start the project via the tmux command. And I'm already doing something where I'm creating the session, and then on a separate step, I'm connecting to the session. So that sort of feature comes pretty easily. So that's a good thing, right? I guess I'll try it. Node. So name downloads. And the root is downloads. No socket. on project start, one on project start the first time, run on project start after the first time, run project exit when detaching. Interesting. Oh, I see. So like when I start versus when I start. Okay, interesting. All right. I don't need to use all these features. Panes could be like Yazi and C matrix. Do I have C matrix here? Hell yeah. So tmuxinator list and then connect node. What is the actual command? Oh, we said it earlier. Start node. Yeah, I mean it's cool. It's cool that this does it. I think it is an interesting feature. So now if I detach and I do tmuxinator stop node, it kills that session. So there's a lot of crossover here. The question now is the crossover worth? The only other thing I could think of where we don't have to do it this way is I have a totally different feature. No, but that new feature won't work. So my new feature idea is, how about you list whatever you want and you just run a command, and as long as there's new lines on the output of that command, then I'll just put it in my list. The only problem is, how would you connect to it? What do you do with it on the other side? So you kind of do need connect logic and list logic to match so you know what's going on. So, and then there's Chris's project. I don't think Typecraft is here today, but he jumps in sometimes. Typecraft, GitHub, Schmucks. So this would be another project we could pair it. The way that his works, haha. Damn. No to fish. So it's the same idea. Schmucks new, and then you name the thing. And then Schmucks, you can load. So this is where I was talking about, like, you don't need to do anything to Sesh for this to work. Just put schmucks load thing in your custom config. Okay. So something to think about. I think over time, I'm fine with more strategies. You need a lister strategy and you need a connection strategy. What seems to be missing from the PR we're looking at today is that there's no lister strategy. So let's just GHPR check out. All right, so we'll check this out. Get rid of that. And let's just kind of look around. So we have our lister, and I would expect to add tmuxifier here. And we didn't this time. And that's all right. We'll survive if the PR is not finished. But where does... I'm still trying to figure out, where does the tmuxifier source actually go in the PR? So it's like a -t, right? Tmux. So list, sesh list. We have this new... Oh, I don't actually see it in here. So maybe he hasn't fully done it. Where is it actually calling tmuxinator? We're doing a list somewhere down here, right? Oh, he's never listing. So he creates a session based off of the connect flag, and then his configs happen to match. I'm guessing that's what it is. That's my guess. So let's make build. Let's sesh dev help. There's no -t in here. So maybe he's missing work. Yeah, so it's not all here. And this will fail, right? He already said it would fail, but let's figure out what will fail. Make tests. The connector fails. Oh, I see. Mockery all? Is that why? Probably. But it still fails. All right. Cannot use mock Zoxide as tmuxinator value in strut literal. Oh, I see. I'm guessing this is just incomplete, and that's all right. Sesh Zoxide. All right, let's go back to the error. The config test. Oh, I see. So like config test. Is it this one? Connector config test. Ah, so here, I think mock tmuxinator. Yeah. So it would be, he's so close. So that would literally fix that test. And then tmux test, same thing. Tmux test where? Connector. Yeah, so it's the same thing. So moxinator. Oh, tmuxinator, and then tmuxinator. I love this. So the inlay hints tell you, hey, I'm expecting tmuxinator to be here. Tmux. Right, and so that would fix that. Cool. So fairly trivial to fix that. The build passes because we don't build the test files. The features seem to work fine, but he is missing things. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I can't push to his branch, but let's see, lister. Yeah, I would add that, and then connector has tmuxinator, and then the connect command would have a new strategy. So that's the thing I would do here. I would have a connection strategy. However, we wouldn't want we wouldn't want to do this. Oh, it wouldn't be new, right? Oh, but we don't have a list command. So I think I just have to pause. I think it's exciting to add more connections and features like this. Hopefully, people will like. Maybe you'd like Tmux, sessions or Tmuxinator features to show up in your list, and then when you choose it, it starts up that session, so you can leverage that feature. Yeah, no, I think it's cool, but unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. So, um, how would I patch this? Oh, I killed Tmux on accident. Sesh main. So I just want to git add. Tmuxinator supports. And then we diff it. And then we say fix tests dot patch. And then he would download and apply it. Yeah. So I like to do this. I should be able to add a file, right? Although, is it going to put the file here? Boom. Super helpful, hopefully. We'll wait for that. I like Timosil. I forget what it's called. Timosil? It doesn't know. Like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing. What are you saying? Sesh. Opt out of duplicate sessions. I wasn't sure what this person was talking about. Opting out of duplicate sessions should be possible. We just have to make sure we do it in a clean way. Support context switching, clear default sessions. Yeah, this one was interesting. It was like, if the startup command is empty, then like don't do it. Like, don't run the startup command. So like it falls back to the default command, right? By default, if there is no startup command, it will use the default. And this person's like, hey, what if I don't want to do that? We could try that. That wouldn't be very hard to disable startup. So like sesh config, we have downloads could be this. You could also do like default session startup. Is startup command going to be emptied out? So like downloads, it opens up NeoVim, right? So startup command technically already exists, but it chooses to fail, and it chooses to fail because let's go look at it. So I'm going to have the tmux connector. Let's start with the connector. Connect. So if it's a new session, hey Mark, what's going on, man? We're just coding. Just doing some Go programming today. Startup exec. Oh, I see. So it must be one of those things that my exec command goes through the strategies. That's right. Hold on. So if it's not defined, do we get a different value? Do we get like a null pointer? I don't think it can be. I think that whatever comes in, so in our case, like a config strategy, whatever comes in will always be a string. So we would have to say disable. You would have to do it. I don't think it's, I think that if this startup command is missing, it still gets parsed as like fish config. Let's look at fish config. Fish config doesn't have a startup command. When it runs and it catches startup command, I think startup command comes back as an empty string because the TOML library parses it out that way, I think. Because it's always a string, right? And so if there's no value found, then it uses a blank string. So I would say disable startup command equals true, right? I feel like that's the only way that it would work. It's not a big deal. It's not a huge lift. It's not a overly complicated feature. Do we like this though? What do you think, chat? Do you like this idea? Does it seem complicated? As reference to the ticket, I was just like, hey man, just like put ls. So, you know, startup command ls. We're just looking over a ticket right now, Mark. So this person likes the default session feature. They use it, but sometimes they don't want to use it. They want to say, hey, I have this custom configuration. I don't want to run a command when I start up this particular configuration. I just want to, the default shell entry point or whatever. And so I told him, hey, you just ls, right? It's like just ls. And so if we do that, I don't even have to do that. I can just do fish config. and boom, it LS's and you're in the shell. You could even do clear, right? It's like clear could work too, but that also feels a little bit funky, fish config. And it kind of didn't do anything. It just kind of cleared itself. So I'll make a proposal for this because I think it should be fine. What do you think of this? Let's see what he says. We'll get back to him. If you don't define it and you get on empty string for the startup command, why not just check for the empty and then don't run exec? No, because the whole feature default is prioritizing local strategies versus global strategies. So we run through our config. So the config strategy, we run through it. And if a configuration strategy is found, startup command is found, we use it. And then we fall through and we continue to evaluate if we don't find a startup command. If we don't continue to evaluate, we go, okay, this time the default config strategy, there is one here. And so I shouldn't mess with it. And so that's the idea here, is that if we say, if there is a command, then we do this. And then I guess what I'll have to do is figure out how to maybe exit early, which I haven't really done before yet in this code. I like to just fall through the strategies, and every one that's missed, we continue through the array. So maybe I'll return early. I guess I'll return and say, we chose to disable. We manually chose to disable this. So don't continue to default. That'll probably be what it looks like. But yeah, we kind of fall through this loop, and every time we don't return, we just go to the next one. Which I like the strategy. It makes it really easy to code, because then I can just prioritize these. So I can put these in an order that I want, and as one doesn't evaluate, it goes to the next. And so if you want to change the order or make one be more important than the other, then you can sort them differently. And I do think in the future I may build a feature like that for like listing. So if you wanted to list things, there's a similar strategy where you have different patterns that repeat. And so you just tell it what order you want it to repeat in. So hopefully that's an interesting insight. But we'll just have to get back to that person and see what they say. Opting out of duplicate sessions, however, is like, we have to decide what matching looks like. I would assume that matching would be the path is the same. So if the path matches a previous value, then make sure to render it out or to not render it, right? And in that case, we would do something very similar to what we did with hide attached, but it would be driven by the command, not the command, the path of the session matching another path to another session. So I think that could work fine. it wouldn't even be hard to do. And I used to do it in Sesh 1. So Sesh 1 was really clever and complicated and did all this messy stuff. And one of those messy things was it would like pass along, like, okay, here's all the tmux sessions. Okay, now I'm going to pass that in to everywhere I call configurations, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not repeating myself. So if a configuration is already being called and is an active tmux session, then I'm not going to call it. So that's the kind of thing that it would do. However, with Zoxide, it becomes slightly more complicated because someone mentioned it. Double session name, yeah. So he mentioned it here. So he's like, hey, I have a dot files tmux session, and then my session, path in Zoxide matches, and I wouldn't expect that to be there. Right. And so here's the behavior. Like that thing isn't there. We can take a crack at this and just see how it works. So let's just try it, see how it feels. We're not going to disable because I need more context if that person thinks it's worth the time. So we're going to say list options. And so this is the same thing we were doing earlier. It'll be the list, 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 or list. So now we're going to say do I have to loop through the full directory in order to figure this out? This comes at a huge performance cost. Not huge. I guess our computers are fast and most of our chips are super efficient. And so it's not really going to be a big change. We'll just start with hiding the attached. I actually still have that to do. That's probably not needed anymore. So now we're not going to do hide attached. Does config come in? List option does. Okay. Hide attached. Hide. What do we call this? We called this. Right. Overall, it's easier to rewrite to simplify the logic. And now have a different sources communicate with each other to generate a list. I'm willing to add an opt-in feature similar to this back in. It will require a little bit more, though, thought for dealing with edge cases. Yeah, so the edge cases are the reason that I didn't just go, yeah, sorry about that, let's add it back in. Because opting in, I think, is going to be better for most people. Because what would happen is someone else already wanted to do this, and they had the opposite problem, where it's like, hey, this path is the same as another path. No, what is it? Right. So if they wanted to actually like see more than one result at once, the custom sessions would fail to be listed because they were matching paths, which this is not a good example. I don't know why it started out that way in the list. Yeah. Sesh 2 fixed it. And then it's so funny that one person doesn't want the feature and another person does want the feature. You got to love it, right? It's like, wait a minute. Created for this to be done. Cool. So I think he'd still like this. Hide, matching. So it's one of those things that, like, if the tmux is showing its results, and then there's custom configurations, if an active tmux session is showing that, if an active tmux session is showing that, then we want to figure out the best way to name it. I think these aren't a big deal. I might be overthinking it. Maybe a code comment or something would make it simple enough. So from what I can tell, hide config matching paths. It's just one of those things that it's a little bit misleading and a little bit confusing unless you explain it. That's why I don't like adding this feature in general, because I'm like hesitant. I'm like, wait, I can't explain it. So if I can't explain it, then how do I guess opting in makes it okay, I guess. All right, so then that means our configurator, we have this guy, and we're going to have our new list, import paths, default sesh config. Look at that, Tmuxinator. So we're going to call this list options, and we're going to we're going to have these boys. Let's go. And then list options is going to be list options is going to be toml list options. And I think it just all sort of parts, not parts. It sorts itself out. So list options is a single thing. You can say we want to hide matching configs, hide matching oxides. I like it. The matching pattern is going to be fixed for now, but maybe in the future we could match by a certain pattern, like by name or by path or whatever. But I think that overcomplicates it. What is this saying? Not compatible. Oh, do you guys want to see? Would that help? Would that help? Tell me. Good call, Andres. Like, oh, he's coding in little teeny tiny letters. Yeah, so we're just matching this all up. Why is this complaining? It's a strut, right? It's a strut. Strut tag field, this not compatible. Oh, fine. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. Go. All right. That needs to go away. That should be fine. So now you can opt in through the config file. Part of me thought it could be a flag first, so that if you wanted to show all, you can just drop the flag. You don't have to like manually change. The other option is like an all, like a dash capital A or something that's like, hey, don't do the matching skips, which might be a good idea. I feel like that is a good idea, actually. I hate like changing my mind, but I think it is a better idea to just for today make it a list option. So we did that here, list options. So we still have to do it. We still have to pass it in as a list option. And then when we do, we are going to look at I guess we're just going to look at the full directory. And so if something is before it, loop through. All right. So we're going to say if ops dot hide matching config and sessions directory I dash source equals config. Then we're going to look at the full directory, loop through full directory, and check if tmux session has the same name as the given. I'm looping through something like that. So we're going to do something along the lines of this. If the session from the full directory has a name that matches, we continue. And then we're going to do something similar. So let's just add it. So we're going to do session list, sesh list, list. Oh my gosh, I can't type. All right, so we're going to do hide attached. We're going to do hide matching config. Matching config. All right, so we got our new boys. Let's go. List options. Typing is fine. Is this actually going to build? It is. So we pass all that in. It goes forward. We range through this. And then in my list, I'm checking for that. And so what should happen is I should have a config for like home. So now I'll do home. And now if I sesh dev, let's go back and make sure that we build, and then sesh dev list. We're going to do T and C. There's home. And then if I hide matching config, it's not there yet. Because I need to define it in the actual CLI section here. Don't show the something like that. Right? Make sure we have our old one and we got our new one, and then we forward these in. Hide matching config, hide matching Zoxide. Cool. Now we should be able to see. No, it broke. They're all H. Oh, that's dumb. No alias. No alias. Good call. I'm just going to make the person type this out for now. But good call. Make build. All right. And so now we sesh dev list. We have did I add my option correctly? If hide matching config and the source is config. Oh, hide attached. Am I dumb? I'm not hiding attached. Look at all these values. Maybe it's because of the emoji. I know I've had issues with that in the past. Look at MacMon. So now MacMon shows up there. MacMon shows up there. And if I hide matching config, it won't show up because it's not there. MacMon only shows up once. Cool. I might need to do a better job testing this, but I guess because it only happens when it's being called, it's not a big deal. All right. The Zoxide one is a little bit more tricky. Do I have dot files? I do have dot files. Okay, so let's try that one. Yeah, look at this. MacMon's pretty cool. It shows off CPU usage with like very few dependencies, apparently. It's like a lightweight version of this tooling. But we are streaming OBS, and I'm running Chrome, and I'm running Arc, and I'm doing all the Tmux, NeoVim things. So this isn't too bad. It is quite a bit lower when I'm just working throughout the day. All right, so let's do dot files. And then I actually want to Tmux config. I want to match and make sure that Sesh is doing what I want. Cool, it totally is. All right, so then this guy, Sesh list, hide matching config, hide matching Zoxide. It just becomes a longer list command. But what we should see is tmx config no sort. Where's no sort? Oh, no sort's here. Why is it such a mess then? Oh, that was weird. It's like it is sorting it, but it's not supposed to be. Tmx config is showing up twice. It's not supposed to. It is not supposed to. I feel like this one is hiding the attached, but I'm not putting that in there. So why is it happening? On my list, if hide attached. I'm not sure. All right, so we're gonna do hide matching Zoxide. And if the directory source is Zoxide, then we need to range through the whole directory, and we need to make sure that anyone that has a path that matches the one I'm looking at through the index, then we continue. This will exit early, so I'm less worried about it. I'm not worried about it. Okay. So I guess I need to test things, right? I don't know why it's not playing as nice. One, fuzzy no sort is definitely not doing what it says it's doing. No sort. Do not sort the results. Yeah. That's definitely what I'm supposed to be calling. All right, so then I could just temporarily do this. Oh, I think I'm potentially breaking the way in which this works. Did I break Sesh earlier by doing this? That's the real question. Did we blow this up, and do I have to revert this feature? All right, let's make sure. Let's do a little sanity check. We're going to stash this, and we're going to say hide matching flags. Let's just make it from main. No, it's still fine. Oh, hold on. I bet it's my variables are bad. Either my variables are bad or this continue is throwing things off. Hold on. If we're looping through the for loop and we're finding a match and continuing, something's going wrong here. This logic isn't quite sound. I need to continue on the outer loop, not the inner loop. That's what's going on. So right, I need the outer for loop. Interesting. Is this how you do it, Andres? Do you call outer loop? Explain loop in Golang. Interesting. I bet that's what it is. All right, so outer loop. We were continuing on this for loop. So it was causing this like crazy, like unhygienic thing. Haven't used it? All right, well, we're seeing it today. We got a loop inside a loop. Oh God, we got a loop inside a loop. I guess I would generally do some sort of function, right? This would become its own private function and it should do a thing. And it returns, yes, I found a match, or no, I didn't find a match. And it would be a lot more simple. So to do extract. Because then I could just say like, we would just use some sort of simple match, right? And it would be like has session name or something, and then if match continue, right? It can be written differently than that, but that would be the idea. Okay, so we will build. I still see two tmux configs. Hide matching config. T sesh dev. I have a suspicion that there's something going on where it's off by 1. When we go and we take the loop, we find this guy and it's valuable. It is assigned to the filtered index. Yeah, we append. So every time we don't get what we want, we don't append. Matching config. The names should match, right? The names should match. What should happen is we can't make an assertion on itself. We have the item we're looping through from the index. Part of me thinks that this should be assigned early. But that name needs to match the full directory session name. Is there a duplicate value? No. Is this outer loop throwing anything off? No, it's just an... I don't want to exit the... It doesn't seem to work yet. If the paths match, then I would expect Zoc side, we would see Z. Interesting. Every time we call Zoc side with this thing, it gives us the weirdest order. These items don't even seem to be in order, are they? I don't know. This is funky now. This is very funky. I think my brain hurts and I hit my 2-hour mark. So this is why I didn't do the feature. This is why I intentionally removed this from V2, is because I thought, man, this is really weird and crazy how you have to like do a reverse lookup and go find the thing that's already there. And if it's there, then make sure to skip and not add it to the where I'm going kind of thing. But conceptually, this does seem right. So there's something important I seem to be missing. So I will have to work my way through it. But this was fun. Not a lot of us today. That's okay. We did ship some features, so I'll probably make a GitHub release and tag it and remind people, not remind, but show them what features came. We shipped 3 features today, which is good. So I'll get that release out before I go to bed. If you're new to my community, feel free to hit subscribe on YouTube. Always appreciate it. We're on Discord, so many of us, even the people that are talking here with us in chat, they're in the Discord server as well, most of them. And so we like to talk about NeoVim and Sesh and tmux and Mac and Linux and all the fun things. So come join us there. And as always, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.